On the 1st of January 2016, my father passed away peacefully in Leicester Royal Infirmary. Now, during his life, he had been an efficient and tidy man, and so it was with his death. A neat start to the year. Now, he was a man that we not only loved deeply and respected, but one that we were immensely proud of. When he was 9 years old, like 15 million other people in the newly created states of India and Pakistan, through an act of partition and a passing legacy of colonialism, he had to flee his home. Being Sikh, he could no longer live in the newly created Muslim Pakistani state. Hindus, Sikhs, Christians, Muslims were all affected in the largest displacement of people in human history. So my father and my grandparents survived partition, but over 1 million people did not. When my father was 25 and my mother 18, they had an arranged marriage, and they came to England to live the immigrant dream, where opportunity and blatant racism walked hand in hand. But they worked hard. He studied for 3 degrees with the Open University, worked full-time, and then got a job as a maths teacher in a school. And it was during this time that he became a member of the Labour Party. And over the next 32 years, became the longest-serving councillor with Leicester City Council and the first Sikh Lord Mayor in the United Kingdom in 1996. My parents' lives embodied the turmoil of 20th century politics and history. And their lasting legacy to us 3 children was to leave us with freedom and choices that they had never had. My mother had wanted to be an actress, but being a young woman from a respectable Indian family, this was something that you didn't do in the early 60s. Instead, she worked in factories, my favorite being the biscuit factory. And then she became a trade union representative for Thorn Lighting, but she had to stand 3 times before being elected to become a shop steward because of the racism from the trade union members. So, coming from such a strong rights-based family, it's no surprise that I chose to study social policy at the London School of Economics. And in 1996, I find myself in Belfast, just after the ceasefires, writing the first report into racism. Like many people before and after me, I came for love. And for the next 11 years, I worked in all aspects of equality with Barnardo's, the Northern Ireland Council for Ethnic Minorities, Belfast City Council, and the Equality Commission. And then our children were born. And I learned all over again what it was to love and be loved. And life changed forever, because I was finally able to realize a long-held dream of being an artist. And over the next 11 years, I found immense peace and contentment simply through painting. But on the 1st of January, when my father passed away, my desire to paint also died. So I bedded myself down for the grief that I knew that was going to come. I only knew that it would be harder, more painful, and deeper than the passing of my incredible mother and father-in-law in 2013. I cycled a lot, I attended meetings, I carried on being a mother and a partner, but not with the same presence. Something inside had become numb. 11 months later, we are on a family break in Iceland, and we stumble across Björk's latest album, Volnikura, available to experience in virtual reality at the Harper in Reykjavik. Now, my husband has loved Björk's music his whole life, so there was no way that we were going to miss this. But on that day, I had felt really unwell and had actually considered staying in bed. Instead, I took a couple of Nurofen and struggled on. We entered the Harper, and after 40 minutes of being so immersed in the joy of dancing with Björk in virtual reality, something remarkable happened. I didn't feel unwell, and I didn't feel quite so numb. Something lifted. And for the first time in 11 months, I felt lighter than at any preceding point. I decided there and then that I had to find out about this new medium and that I wanted to work in it. That was November 2016, and that was my first inkling of technology connecting me back with my own humanity. So we come back to Belfast. I am introduced to Kainos, and together we create a short, fun, interactive VR experience called Retin-A, which we take out to South by Southwest in March 2017. And it's well received, it's nominated for awards and invited to festivals. And then I start to read about the therapeutic benefits of VR and read work by Brennan Spiegel and Skip Rizzo and Walter Greenleaf. These are people that have been using VR to treat pain, post-traumatic stress disorder, and anxiety for the past 30 years. I register my new company, call it Neon, and we start to build immersive apps in health and well-being. Our first app, Breathe VR, is developed at a pain hackathon where we're invited to develop solutions for people living with chronic pain. And on the day, we hear from one man how he has lost all the enamel on his teeth because he has been so sick from the medication prescribed to him for his pain, and how the doctors have nothing left to offer him. We hear about the prescribed opioid crisis sweeping the States and the UK, killing the equivalent of hundreds of people every day, and how for years the pharmaceutical industry has lied to people in pain, lied to them about how addictive opioids are, and lied to them about the benefits. And in preparing for the Pain Hackathon, we researched the benefits of deep breathing. And we learned that each one of us breathes 20,000 times each day, and that our breath is one of nature's most strongest and powerful medicines. So on the day, we decide to combine the most human act of breathing with the latest tech and build a prototype called Breathe VR, where your breath makes the leaves in a VR environment rise and fall. And the prototype is hugely successful on the day, but we want further evidence. So our results show that it reduces pain for 8 out of 10 people. And for one man, his pain is actually halved after using Breathe VR for only 3 minutes. So we invest and launch the app on the App Store. And we make sure that it's available for the cheapest possible VR headset, because people living in pain often have to give up work, rely on disability living allowance, and have little disposable income. So whilst I'm exploring the capability of this new technology, one question becomes more compelling. What is it to be human, and what is the role of technology in our humanity? We know that technology can teach us skills we can use in real life, as in Breathe VR, where it encourages you to get into a pattern of deep breathing. We know it is a tool, and we know it can connect us back with our own humanity. But we have to future-proof what we create. We have to anticipate all the intended and unintended consequences. We have to imagine the absolute worst and the absolute best outcomes. We have to examine ethics at every level. We have to involve and empower the individuals for whom we are designing solutions. And we have to eradicate and eliminate the bias and discrimination that might be built into these solutions. There are so many changes that are charging towards us at breakneck speed at the moment, with machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, avatars, that the lines between reality and not reality will soon blur to the point of obsolescence. And if we don't keep our eye firmly fixed on what it is to be human, then we are doomed. Paradoxically, humans are the most simple and complex of creatures that demand certain basic rights. The right to love and be loved, and not be judged or condemned or persecuted for that love. The right to feel safe. The right to live free from racism, from discrimination, from sexism, from sectarianism, and all the other isms. The right to food, to education, to housing, to health. and the right to a functioning representative democracy. Do you know that trees have a network which has been nicknamed the Wood Wide Web? So when one tree in a forest is sick, all the other trees will send nourishment through their roots because they have to maintain the integrity of the canopy. Because if they don't, they're all vulnerable to disease and illness. How do our societies compare to trees when we have so much technical capability at our fingertips? How do we look after our poor, our homeless, our hungry, the unloved, the persecuted? Maya Angelou once said that people will never remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And I would argue that making people feel valued, safe, and loved is an intrinsic part of being human. Thank you.